Welcome, everybody, to the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. It's a Labor Day edition. There is no Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show today, but we are here. Zach's got his new studio, new location as he gets ready for his new child to be brought into this world. And I like the background, though. You got a lot of bobbleheads. Yeah. I didn't know you were a bobblehead collector there, Zach.
Yeah, this is a small little taste of it. I've got a pretty sizable collection, and eventually we'll set this up so that you can see a little more. Maybe I might have to switch some of those out. We got some good ones up there now.
Now,
Shin Chu is like a 80s nightclub owner, whatever. That.
Do you have the one? Is it only baseball or is it all sports?
No, it's all. I mean, we got Hopalong Cassidy up there. We got what else?
Yeah, I'm trying to see. So,
Kelsey Brothers.
Do you have the one? I don't really collect bobbleheads, but I have like 5 or 6. But there's one I really like. That's Joe Thomas in a Lake Erie Monsters uniform with a hockey stick. Have you seen that one?
I think I've seen it. I don't have that one.
I might have to just give it to you.
I see Tom Hamilton above my head next to Hopalong Cassidy. So, couple, and I think, the Notorious B.I.G.'s up there also. So you never know what you're going to get. Lou Gehrig is up there. We got an eclectic mix here.
You're known. One of the things you're most known for is that people send you pictures of random Guardians/Indians players that guys played for 2 seconds for the Guardians, and they always send them to you, which I love, of course. And so it would make sense that you'd have all these random bobbleheads, and it kind of fits your profile.
Yeah, that collectors convention was in town about a month ago, and I went, and there was one stand that had a bunch of bobbleheads, and I took $100, and my goal was, how many of the strangest bobbleheads could I get for $100? And I think I ended up with 6 of them, and a couple of them, like the Hopalong Cassidy and Lou Gehrig ones, are up there. The Travis Hafner one here, man, I'll never be Vanna White.
Is that Wait, the one in the white suit, is that Shin Chu or is that Travis?
That's
Hafner?
Shin Chu, the nightclub owner, or whatever that's supposed to be. That's right there is Travis Hafner with a WWE championship belt.
Okay.
Because it's not often you see a baseball player bobblehead with no hat or helmet.
Right. That's true.
Maybe Jose Ramirez one day with his helmet off, but
that
Hafner looks different.
Yeah, I like it. So what does your wife think about the bobblehead collection? Is she in favor? Is she neutral?
Probably that there are too many, and I end up enjoying the clutter because I just want to fit as many into whatever view you can. And then our son, who's now 2, started pulling them off the shelves, and created chaos.
Yeah, that's true. But he'll get a kick out of them as he gets a little older. He'll enjoy it. All right, we got a lot to get to today. Guardians take 2 of 3 from the Pirates over the weekend. They only have 12 road games left this year, and they will play 9 of them over the next week and a half. The big road trip starting with a huge series in Kansas City. We'll get to all of that on today's Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. There we go. Oh, I screwed up our background. There it is. It's back. All right, Zach. So before we look ahead to this big series with Kansas City, let's look back to the weekend over the Pirates. And you and I were texting a little bit on Saturday. That was an ugly game Saturday. But overall, you wanted them to sweep against one of the few really bad teams left, but at least they win the series. They take 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. The Royals and Twins did not have good weekends. And so you've gained games on both of them. So you go back to Wednesday when the Guardians were tied with the Royals and the Royals had a lead late. And if the Royals win that game, they have a 1-game lead in the division. The Royals have not won since. And now the Guardians have a 3.5-game lead heading into action today. In 3 in the loss column over Minnesota, 4 in the loss column over Kansas City, which, this late in the season means a lot. And I mean, to go from where they were Wednesday night, even though they didn't sweep the Pirates, to where they are this morning, it feels like they've righted the ship to some degree. I don't think everything's fixed, but you got to feel much better about their chances of winning the division today than we did on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think so. They finally got some help too. The Yankees lost a couple. The Red Sox lost a couple, so I believe their lead just to stay in the playoffs is 8 games.
Yeah, so that's
So,
in the bag pretty much.
yeah, and I think a few days ago there were people saying, "Oh, they might fall all the way out of the playoffs." That's not
Right.
going to happen. And the Royals got swept in a 4-game series in Houston. So, a couple things there. One, the Astros are playing really, really well.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to see them the last series of the regular season and then maybe in October too. But yeah, I mean, they'll enter a series with the Royals with a little bit of breathing room, and if you want to look at it glass half full, a chance to really kick them to the curb.
Yes.
If you sweep them, because it's not even just if you sweep them and you're 6.5 up on them, sure.
Yeah.
But if you win 2 or 3, the
Yes.
Royals just lost their best opportunity to make up ground, and it's the last one they'll have. This is the last series between these teams. And oh, by the way, when the Royals are done with the Guardians, they get the Twins, and then they go, I think, at the Yankees. So they've got a really tough stretch still ahead of them. I think it's very important, at bare minimum, win 1 of the 3, but I think it'd be really, really beneficial. Win 2 of the 3, flex your muscle, show them it's your division, and then you get a little bit of breathing room going to a really tough Dodgers series over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they just win this series, the Royals are probably done for the division. The Royals are going to the playoffs. I mean, and this is the best the American League Central has been in forever. You got the Tigers are playing great baseball. They're over 500 right now, so it's really challenging. But yes, I mean, this is certainly if the Guardians sweep, the Royals are finished in the division. I think even if they win the series, because you'd be 5 up in the loss column with just about 20 games to go. So the Royals got to be looking at this, and they got to be kicking themselves because they blew that game, and then Pasquantino gets hurt, and he's out for the season, or at least for the rest of the regular season, the minimum, probably for the rest of the season. And Ursheg got hurt, and so they're kind of reeling right now. Now Minnesota, we'll see with them. They did manage to win yesterday. But it felt like, obviously, last week with that Royals series that the Royals were the biggest threat. But if they take care of business against the Royals, then Minnesota then becomes the biggest threat again.
Yeah. I mean, you would have liked to sweep the Pirates. It's like there were a lot of good things to take away from the weekend. The way that the offense fought back after that terrible inning. What was it, the top of the 5th? That the Pirates scored 6 runs after the Rocchio boneheaded flip or whatever he was trying to do. I know you loved that.
Oh my God. Well, he played terrible defense the whole weekend. And if he's playing terrible defense, what the hell is he on the roster for?
Yeah, that's the one thing that you need from him. But so the offense, great job Friday night. Manzardo comes up Sunday, hits 2 home runs.
Yes.
Jimenez has been hitting much better. And I think that's important in the 2 spot to bridge the gap from Kwan to Ramirez.
Yeah.
You've seen signs of life from Josh Naylor. Like, there's a lot of good to take away. And then I still, like, Saturday night, they don't score a run.
No.
And they barely muster any offense. And it's everything's not fixed. But
no. But, yes, there are way more positives from this weekend than not. The Pirates are a horrible team right now. Cobb and Boyd both pitched great over the weekend. That was good. I do, and I was texting you about this. I don't know what the hell Josh Naylor was doing in that game Saturday. I know it ended up being, one-sided. The Pirates pulled away, but at the time, they were in the game, first and second, 1 out, and Lane Thomas hits the fly ball to deep left. And Naylor's at second base, and he just takes off as if the ball was off the wall. I don't know what he was doing. And on the broadcast, I was really not understanding why There was no criticism of Naylor at all. They made a thing about, well, it was hard to see. Well, the third base coach is there. He saw what was going on because he was telling Naylor to go back. And then Naylor didn't even touch third. So even if he had been a bad throw, he would have been out anyway because he never touched third base going back. And that fly ball, if it's a home run, he doesn't have to run. If it's off the wall, even if he goes halfway and it's off the wall, he's going to score. I know he's not fast. He's still going to score if he goes halfway. So I thought that was inexcusable bad base running by Naylor.
And in a game where they had such limited opportunities to score,
Right.
you couldn't squander one like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know. It felt like to get shut out. I don't want to make a bigger deal out of it than it is, but it's just like because it was 1-0. It's just if you can muster anything and turn it over to your bullpen, that's a game you should win.
Right.
You know, it felt like their starting pitcher was almost begging to come out of the game. He was grabbing at his hamstring on consecutive plays there, and I don't know. It's not like they had a lead and they blew it late. Like that's not a game you're gonna look back at the end of the season and say, man, we should have had that one on August 31st. But it did feel like one they could have gotten.
Yeah.
And I mean, imagine if they sweep that series, you're feeling really good. Not that you're, again, there were positives to take away.
Yes.
And I think there are reasons to feel like the path forward is more conquerable than it was just with everything you mentioned, guys solidifying the lineup, Manzardo's presence, and the starting rotation. I mean, what Boyd and Cobb have given them is incredible. I never would have expected that. I thought that they were Band-Aids to put on like a bullet wound. I mean, it was like I was for the moves to add them because they were the starting pitchers with a pulse and some experience. So maybe the experience could help them cover some innings. But coming off the injuries they were coming off of, I never expected them to, especially Boyd. Yeah. Usually when you come back from Tommy John surgery, it's I know everyone mostly makes it back, but it's not like it's a smooth transition and you just hit the ground running after being out for 14 months. I mean, there's usually you don't have your command for a while, you're finding your velocity, you're just knocking off tons of rust, and he's been so consistent, so good. And then Cobb to carry a perfect game into the 7th inning after not pitching for a few weeks. It's really impressive. And you don't have to worry about the Joey Cantillo, Carlos Carrasco 3 1/3 inning experience anymore. And I think Cobb even said it. He's like, look, we see these guys, Cade Smith and Hunter Gaddis, Tim Herron jogging in from the bullpen, and you look up and you see their stats and it says they've got 60 some appearances. And you're like, man, I got to cover some more innings so that those guys don't get burnt out. So they recognize the assignment and they've knocked it out of the park so far.
They have. They've both been fantastic. Cobb taking that perfect game late in the game was amazing. Once he gave it up, they couldn't get him out of there fast enough because they didn't want to throw him too many pitches. But now it's time. It's September. It's time for Williams and Bybee to do their job because they have not pitched well of late. And they're both pitching the next 2 games. As we talked about, it's a chance to put Kansas City basically out of it. And they're starting the next 2 games. They've got to follow up what Cobb and I just forgot Boyd have done. And the Guardians desperately need them to pitch to the best of their ability for the rest of the season. And what better time than against Kansas City this week?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Williams goes today, and Jason Lloyd and I were digging into some numbers, and something didn't make sense. His fastball's been awesome in terms of he's hitting 98, 99, 100, and looking like you were worried. He's coming off injury. It's an elbow thing. He missed 3 months. What's this going to look like? And he's hitting upper 90s, and that's what you want out of him. And the metrics say the fastball should put up really good numbers and guys shouldn't be crushing it. but the results say they have been. So there's some disconnect there. Why is his fastball why does it's the best fastball he's ever had, but guys are still hitting it really well? Why is that? And we're looking at these numbers and we're thinking, well, one thing would be if they know it's coming, if he's tipping his pitches.
Right.
So Jason talked to Gavin, he talked to Carl Willis, and kind of got some intel that said they believe he's got some tell. I don't think they want the tell out there what it is, because then everybody could read it and they would know. And he's trying to not have the tell, but that would explain a lot. And if he can identify what the tell is, clean it up. I think the Royals in particular had picked up on it. Maybe this looks different moving forward. But the stuff is there. You just need him to put it all together. He's looked, against the Yankees, he looked like an ace for a few innings, going toe to toe with Garrett Cole, and then everything just kind of fell apart. And against the Royals, he gave up a home run to Paul DeYoung, and it was a 98-mile-an-hour fastball that he took the other way. It's like, I don't know if you want to read too much into that. And other than that, he pitched really well against the Royals. It's just, the rain came down from the heavens and wiped out that game for a couple hours, and he couldn't keep going. So we've seen flashes of it with Williams. You're right. Like, this is the time where he's fresh. Everybody else might be tired.
Yeah.
And he needs to round into form. So he's peaking at the perfect time for them.
And, there's so much access to video. And if you have any kind of tell whatsoever, teams will find it.
Yeah. I know there are scouts, there's advanced scouts, and the Royals had some in town during the Rangers series. I think they played the Rangers before Kansas City came here. And, they're looking for that stuff. They're looking for things in person that they can then relay to the analysts back in Kansas City or whatever team is doing this, and say, hey, I picked up on this. Go study the video and see if you can confirm this. And we've got something.
And that's what's happened. All right. Let me talk to you about FanDuel, folks. A lot of good things going on at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Little different for you now. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right,
is this
Zach,
the best sports time of year, by the way?
It is the best. Baseball pennant race, football getting underway. You got the NFL opener in 3 days. NBA and NHL right around the corner. College football starting. It is a great, and the weather's hopefully going to start cooling off. It is cool today, so you get that nice, brief fall weather that we get for like maybe 3-4 weeks here. But yeah, it is a great time. And there's actually I don't know if you know this, but so there's the Thursday opener, which we've had for a number of years. There's also a Friday opening night game in Brazil, I believe. So a couple good games, exciting games. And we're doing it. And Zach's in the UCSS Fantasy League this year for the first time.
Yeah, I don't think you're aware of I'm football obsessed. I don't think people know that.
Okay. I know you like all sports, but I didn't know you were football obsessed. No, I don't think I did know that.
I pay a lot of attention to it.
All right.
I think part of the reason I've never cared to cover it full time is I don't want it to take away from my enjoyment of it.
I can see that. That makes sense.
So, yeah, I'm excited. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year.
Yeah. And it all gets underway. Fantasy drafts tomorrow afternoon. Are you coming in person or no?
I didn't even know we were doing that. No, I don't.
Oh,
I don't know.
We're doing it. We're going to draft at the in the building at WKYC. I was trying to find like a good restaurant to go to, but all these places I liked. Tuesday afternoon, a lot of restaurants are closed. So anyway, all right. Let's. I wanted to get some fan comments here. Let's start with, because we got a lot of people watching on a holiday morning here. Albert says, "Good morning, Bull and Zach." Good morning, Albert. You mentioned Manzardo, but certainly we've been banging the table for him to come up, and what a way to start his return to the majors. 2 home runs. He talked about after the game feeling more relaxed. I don't know if that was his exact word. I can't remember, but basically feeling more relaxed coming back. He still got the porn stash going. But that was awesome to see. I know DeLauder got hurt the other day, which was unfortunate, but to get Manzardo up here and hit 2 home runs in his first game and couldn't go any better.
Yeah, I think first of all, he said he came up the first time. The team was scorching hot, challenging for the best record in baseball, and the difference was that it was new. It was surprising. Everyone was like, "Wait, the Guardians are good? Can they sustain this?" And Manzardo's coming up feeling like, I got to make sure I do everything I can to keep that going. And I think he put a lot of pressure on himself. So the second time you come up, there's less pressure because you know what to expect. You know where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, where to go, like little things like that don't get in the way. And the team has been good all season. So there's not that pressure because they've handled it without you. So yeah, and he knows, like, I know this is going to anger you, but he's not going to be playing first base unless they get in a pinch. I don't understand it. But he's going to be DHing, and he knew that coming in. So in AAA, he DH'd a lot and developed a new routine where he's in the weight room between at bats and he's stretching properly to stay loose and things like that. So I got the vibe from him. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm sure he'd love to be playing first base, stay engaged.
Sure.
Have other things to do. But I'm sure he's just thrilled to be up and have a chance to play at least against righties. And again, it's one game. It's not a referendum on decision making or anything, but there's nothing left for him to prove in the minors. I mean, it's evidence that he should have been up here. He should be up here, and the guy can hit. I mean, they traded Aaron. They could have stayed the course last season.
Right.
And try to win a crappy division and sneak into the playoffs and get hot at the right time, or whatever cliche you want to use. And they traded Aaron Savali because he had peak value at that moment. And they were thrilled that they could get Kyle Manzardo for Aaron Savali, who is a mid-rotation guy at best.
Mm-hmm.
And Manzardo was a top 100 prospect, a guy who could hit home runs and doubles, the exact thing that they have not been able to develop for years and years and years. Like, they were thrilled by this opportunity that they had last summer to make this trade. So they've believed in him for a long time here. So it makes sense to get him up here and let him do what you've thought he could do for over a year.
Yeah. And now I assume he'll play every day against righties and probably not play against lefties. Who, I guess if he plays that great, then maybe they'll put him in the lineup every day. But I could live with him playing every day against righties. I mean, I think we could all live with that. Let's see. Williams says, I like what Manzardo did. They need to bring up more of the minor leaguers that got really good pitchers and good hitters. I don't know if they have really good pitchers in the minors at this point, especially.
Is there anybody else you're desperate to see?
I'd like to see George Valera.
Yeah.
I mean, again, same. I mean, he's been in the minors forever. He's had a lot of at bats at high level. So, I mean, I don't know when it comes to Tyler Freeman and Brian Rocchio. I mean, I don't understand why both are on the roster at this point.
And Schneemann. So can you pick two of the three?
Yeah. I mean, get rid of one of them and give Valera up here. Let's see. Corey says, how do you see Vogt handling Manzardo playing time? I think we talked about that. He's going to play every day, I would assume, against righties.
Yeah, I think he and Fry will just split DH reps. And,
right.
That forms a good partnership, but I'm with you where I don't want to just write Manzardo off. This guy still has the potential to be an everyday
absolutely
baseman. And if he's crushing pitching, like, let him go. Let him face a lefty here and there.
this is more of a conversation for the offseason, but I'll just throw this real quick. If the Guardians, Josh Naylor's the type of player that is more valuable to you than he is to the other two. Like he's not going to bring back a big trade in return. But I wonder if the Guardians, with him being a free agent after next year, would consider. I mean, I think they would consider moving him this offseason and making Manzardo the everyday first baseman, wouldn't they?
I think that's something they'll discuss for sure. It's what you said.
Yeah.
What are you going to get for a 20? He'll be 27 next season.
Yeah.
Year-old first baseman who's got an injury history and
probably
is a
not
good hitter.
Yeah,
not an elite hitter. With 1 year left too. Now, he's not going to break the bank. I really don't know what that free agent contract would look like.
Yeah, I don't think it's
like
I think teams are going to look at him
50.
as a DH going forward.
Yeah. So I don't think he's a ton of trade value. And then you have to, it's what you said. It's like, are you bailing on the asset just to make room for Manzardo when you could have both?
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. Tommy says if you listen to Hammy, he criticized Naylor for that foolish play. Yeah, Hammy's great with that. I listen to Hammy all the time. I wasn't listening to him Saturday night. Not surprised. He is not afraid to be critical when necessary. It was a foolish play, so I'm glad Hammy did call him out. But not a surprise. Okay, Creative Juice says holiday cookout question for you guys. You're handed a plain all beef hot dog in a bun. What are you putting on it, assuming every topping is available? What's never on your hot dog? He'll hang up and listen. It's a tough question.
Yeah, you ever go to Happy Dog?
I am not much of a hot dog person, so no, I have never been there.
I feel like I struggle with this. It's the same thing. You can put anything you want in the universe on a hot dog. And it's overwhelming. The problem with a hot dog is that it's very easy to just fall apart.
That's
like
true.
You can overstuff a hot dog. You could put a million toppings on a burger and it might have the stability to remain a sandwich.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
To not overdo it.
I don't know. I want to say like chili or baked beans. Baked beans are like an underrated addition, I think.
I like chili. I'm not a baked beans guy. I like grilled onions on a hot dog.
Love them. Load them up.
I do not use ketchup or mayo or mustard. Well, I don't know if anybody uses mayo on a hot dog, but ketchup, mustard, I don't relish. I don't like any of that. I don't eat ketchup. I'm weird when it comes to condiments. I don't use ketchup. I don't use mayo. I don't use mustard on anything.
See, because a lot of times I like to just like dip it in baked. If I have baked beans, put baked beans on it anyway. Because usually those things are going together. I don't know. This is hard because now I'm fast forwarding in my head a few hours to this afternoon and what I need to do. Yeah, any type of onion. I like pickles, but I think the pickle depends on what else is on the hot dog.
I love pickles, but not on a hot dog. So no mustard, no ketchup for you?
I think you can design this so that you don't need those.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to just analytically.
I'm going to go grilled onions and chili. That's what I'm going to go with. That's my official.
I think I agree with that. Yeah. Maybe a pickle.
All right, Juice. There you go. Joseph says, Bull, you've been hollering for Manzardo. He had 2 home runs. Let's effing go.
Wait, so do you go when you're at Wrigley? Are you getting the patented Chicago dog?
I have gotten hot dogs at Wrigley, but I'm more in general. I don't love ballpark food, which is an upset. I just don't think it's overall great quality. Now at Progressive Field, they do have some really nice food choices when you go to the outfield, the right field area. There's some good, but Wrigley Field's not great in terms of concessions. They've gotten better as they've updated the park a little bit, but it's never been a great place in terms of concessions.
I think I did a Chicago dog during the World Series once there. Because concessions used to be, or the press dining used to be horrendous at Wrigley. Yeah. They've upgraded. It's pretty good now, but
but it was bad. Let's see. Joseph says on a hot dog, homemade baked beans or coleslaw. Joseph's Creative Juice says I like chili cheese, diced raw onions. No, I don't like raw onions.
All the above.
Yeah. Oh, you like raw?
Sure.
Raw,
grilled,
okay.
whatever.
Joseph can't go wrong with chili cheese onions. Let's see. Joseph, one time we wanted to make chili dogs. All we had was some Bush's grilling beans. They were pretty good. Bush's is the best. Let's see.
They'll have to sponsor us before we can confirm or
so.
deny that. Yeah.
Nate says, glad I found the show. Have a good day, fellas. Thank you. Curtis Manzardo needs to stay up. He's staying up the rest of the year. Don't worry about that. Let's see. Jack says, obviously the priority is to win the division, but do you think Cleveland can hold off Houston to get the bye in the division series? It's a good question. That last series at the end of the year could be for who's the 2 seed and the 3, and even the 1. I mean, who knows? Right now, all if you look at it at the top of the American League,
the Guardians are 1 game behind the Yankees.
Yeah.
Now the Yankees will have the tiebreaker.
Right. What about with Baltimore? If Baltimore wins the division, because Baltimore only a half game back of the Yankees.
Guardians have the tiebreaker with them.
So so the Guardians really want the Orioles to win the East. But the Yankees are 79-58. The Orioles are 79-59. The Guardians are 78-59. And then the Astros at 75-62. So we pretty much know the 6 teams that are going to make the playoffs. I mean, I guess Boston could get sizzling hot, or Detroit. Actually, Detroit's only a half game back of Boston of the best record out of the playoffs, which is hard to believe.
And then there's your White Sox at 31-107. Just 39 games out of 4th place in the division.
I don't
47.5 behind the Guardians.
I think they have like 3 wins since the All-Star break. 4.
It's insane.
They have 4 wins since the All-Star break.
Every time I look up at there's the standings and like the streak, it says L and then a double-digit number. They've lost 10 in a row now. It's L10.
Yeah.
But hey, their favorite opponent is coming to town next week.
Right.
Because they're 5-5 against the Guardians.
The Guardians better sweep them this
102 time. Against everybody else.
They better sweep them this time. By the way, the Cubs, speaking of runs, they've scored 99 runs in their last 10 games.
Is that since they were in Cleveland?
Yeah, there was like 2 games. There's 2 games in between. The Cubs are 25-5 against everybody but the Guardians in the last month. Or something like that. We got a super chat here. Super chat. Why can't? Oh, there we go. Ahmad says, who do the Guardians match up best and worst with in the American League?
That's interesting.
It's a good question. Not that the Guardians have played bad against the Yankees. I just don't like young teams going into Yankee Stadium. I don't want to have to go into Yankee Stadium and win a series there. It's a tough place to play. There's a lot of pressure being there. I don't care what any player says, especially for young players. You see that the crowd is bananas. You see those pinstripes.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about that stadium. I don't know. The Astros, Yankees, and Orioles, they're all pretty close. I don't know that one team is tougher than the other. The Yankees are the team I'd want to play least of those 3 for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I've seen that movie too many times where they're trying to string together hits against Garrett Cole, and that just isn't the formula for success on offense. And
right.
I do think that lineup outside of Judge and Soto is not great. Chisholm helps.
That's correct.
Rizzo's back, but it's not a great lineup. But you still have to get through those 2. Those 2 won them the series when the Guardians were there a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
So yeah, that's not the best matchup. I'm with you there. I almost wonder if that matchup's easier in like a 7-game series, just because then that's when you get your depth tested. And I don't.
The Orioles are dealing with some pitching issues right now.
Yeah.
Corbin Burns is not pitching well. Grayson Rodriguez is banged up. The Guardians have played well against them. I don't know. And they're not an experienced playoff team either.
I don't have a great answer for this only
Yeah.
because I think this kind of speaks to what we've talked about throughout the season where it's wide open. Like there are a bunch of good teams. There isn't that juggernaut where I would say you need to avoid this opponent
No,
or else you're screwed. I mean,
no.
Houston has been scorching hot, and I know the Guardians didn't play great there earlier in the season.
Yeah.
But they're still not the Astros team that we've seen in recent years.
No.
They're relying on some really young, inexperienced pitching that's gotten
Yeah.
better as the season's gone on. The lineup isn't quite as deep. So I almost want to say the Royals are the toughest opponent just because of what they showed last week, and they've played the Guardians really well all season, and they have some starting pitching. Like going up against Lugo and Reagans in a short series would not be ideal.
Yeah.
So
Michael Walker's been pretty solid for them.
Brady Singer. So I don't know. I honestly think I kind of think the 6 playoff teams are all capable of emerging from the American League.
Yeah.
Maybe the Twins would be like
The
the
easiest, I
6th
guess.
most likely.
Yeah, I think so. Corey says, Bull, Kobe Mayo or Manzardo in fantasy the rest of the season. I'd probably take Kobe Mayo because I think he's going to play every day. I like Manzardo. Like if you can make a daily lineup change, Manzardo's better because then you could just play him. Like in my fantasy league, which I'm just running away with for a fantasy championship.
I was waiting for that.
I have Jock Peterson, and he's been great, but obviously it's a daily lineup. So when they he only starts against righties. So when he's facing a lefty, I know in the morning I take him out of the lineup. So if it's a daily league, but Kobe Mayo's probably going to play every day for Baltimore. He struggled his first time up. I'd expect him to do better, like Holiday, like Manzardo, at least yesterday, to do better second time around. All right, this is what's wild about the Guardians' schedule, Zach, is so they have this 9-game road trip starting this afternoon, and then basically that's it for the road. They after this 9 games, they play all but 3, I think, against St. Louis at home the rest of the year, which is a big advantage. So they've got and obviously the first 6 games of this road trip are a bear between Kansas City and I don't think anybody's playing better baseball than the Dodgers right now. I don't know what. Have you seen the pitching matchups for the Dodgers series yet?
No.
Yeah.
You'll get, well, with the off day, the Guardians could go a couple different ways here. So
yeah,
Williams, Bybee, and Lively in Kansas City, and then I would assume maybe Boyd, Cobb, Williams.
Probably. Let's see. ESPN as of now has it Boyd versus TBD on Friday, Cobb versus Stone on Saturday, and then Sunday is Williams against Flaherty. We'll see if anything changes there, but meanwhile,
Ohtani could be right on the verge of 50-50 by then.
Never done before. 44 homers, 43 steals. I think he's going to do it. Do you think he's going to do it? I
do.
I'm rooting for him to do it. Hopefully not against the Guardians, but I'm rooting for him to get the 50-50. I was at a fantasy draft last night with a bunch of guys here, and one guy said, I think Jose Ramirez is a lock Hall of Famer. And I said, I don't think he's a lock Hall of Famer. I think he's got a good chance, but I think he's got to play at this level for a few more years. What's your take on that? If he retired today, he's not a Hall of Famer, right?
No.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But I think 3 more years of production similar to what he's done the last few, and then a few more years of like old age, just hanging on,
right?
Solid production that's not like negative. You can't have like 3 years of hitting 190 with minimal power, but I think he'll get to. I mean, he'll probably get to. He could get to 400 home runs.
Yeah, and by the way, we haven't really talked about it, but Jose has a good shot at getting 40-40 this year.
Yeah,
and. We're talking, obviously, Ohtani getting 50-50. It's never been done, but it's not like there's been a lot of 40-40 seasons in the big leagues.
No, there haven't. And yeah, I'm just thinking about it. And he'll get to 350. He'll be Cleveland's all-time home run leader.
Yep.
He'll have a bunch of stolen bases.
Yeah.
I think looking at the context of like what his average on base percentage and slugging percentage are relative to his peers will help him. I do it every year. I do like a updated tracker on just how he's tracking for the Hall of Fame. And
Yeah.
basically Scott Rowland got in. Obviously, Scott Rowland was an elite defender, so they're
Yeah.
different there. But Ramirez is head and shoulders above him offensively.
Yeah.
So there are certain things along the way that probably hurt him too, like finishing second in the MVP in 2020 and not getting a full 162 games that year because it was as good as he's been offensively.
Yeah.
Or he got hurt. What was it in 2019 and missed like a month there? And I know that happens, but it's the timing of it too, where I think he had just started to hit better. And then also, it took him a while I know he was younger when he had his breakout season, 24 years old in 23 years old in 2016, but he had opportunities before that. And so he's got, 2 partial seasons of pretty subpar numbers on the ledger, because I think he was a little in over his head at 21, 22 years old. So those drag down his career numbers a little bit. So, you look up at the end of the day and like, I think the old standards of you got to have 3,000 hits or 500 home runs or 300 wins or like those have changed. The game has changed. I think voting standards have changed and need to continue to change. I think he's building a pretty good case. I think he's got to stay in this. He probably needs to get to 2,000 hits, 350 home runs. Those numbers would help, and I think he can do both.
If you look at his baseball reference page, you mentioned Scott Rowland. Similar batters through age 30. Scott Rowland is number 1 on his list. Now, the rest of the top 10 there, none of those guys are Hall of Famers. Ryan Zimmerman, Evan Longoria, Eric Chavez, Aramis Ramirez. Gary Sheffield's not a Hall of Famer because of steroids. Matt Kemp, David Wright, Andrew McCutcheon. Those are all like a lot. There's a lot of just shy of Hall of Fame players there.
And so the key is maintaining it for a few more seasons.
That's right.
Because a lot of those guys fell off too pretty quickly.
In fact, if you look at his career WAR right now is 50.9. The average Hall of Famer at third base had a career WAR of 69.4. So he has a more than reasonable chance to get to 69.4.
Like if he's got a couple more 5-win seasons and then maybe a couple 3-win seasons.
Yeah.
And then just doesn't have like the negative WAR seasons. He can surely do that.
7-year peak WAR. Jose Ramirez 42.6. Average Hall of Famer 43.3. So he's right there. And some of these other monitors they have here, he's either close. He's pretty close on a lot of them. So I think 3 more seasons of this caliber, and he's probably right there. But he's definitely not in yet. A 40-40 season this year would help.
Just looking at his baseball reference page, there's something about just a home run total that starts with a 4 that I think would help his page pop a little more.
Well, let's say
he could get there this year.
Let's say he averages. I mean, to get to 400, he'll probably be at 350, and it's going to be close. All of a sudden, I got a frog in my throat.
Yeah, I mean, he's at 250, so you figure he winds up this season at 256. Let's say he winds up
3 more years to get to 350.
Yeah, I think that's probably best case scenario.
Yeah. Right.
But also, I mean, he could set a career high in home runs this year. So
that's true.
We're just assuming that this guy's going to start declining, and there's not really evidence of that overall. Maybe little things like the walk rate dropping this year, but he's also he's got 34 stolen bases and he's only been caught 4 times.
Yeah.
he's still so elite at so many things. Yeah, I think getting to 400 home runs is tough. Like, he'd have to have 3 more seasons of like 30 plus, and then a couple seasons with 15 to 20. I guess that's not impossible.
Yeah, no. It depends. I mean, he's what? He's 32. I mean, he's going to turn 32
I think,
in a
this
couple
month.
of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see, like, how does his body hold up? He doesn't have the prototypical baseball body. But he's certainly got a chance. All right. Thanks to everybody for watching and listening. We'll be back on Friday. We'll look ahead to the Dodger series. We'll recap the Royal series. And we'll be with you 2 days a week through the end of the season, including the playoffs. Zach, I know you're not going on the road this week, which is nice. You're going to Chicago next week. Will you go to St. Louis or no?
Yeah.
All right. So you got 2 more road trips, a lot of home time, which is good. A lot of home games coming up. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Guardians Show. We'll see you later.